Alright, YouTube, it's time for the daily dose of comedy here. I'm almost like debating whether to put this in the comedy category instead of news and politics, because the media is now declaring that Pepe the Frog, the meme, of course, the meme, is actually a white nationalist symbol. Oh my god. The SPLC decided to chime in as well, noting, of course, that David Duke has shared this particular cartoon frog, and that makes it like a Nazi symbol or something. You do realize that there are usages of Pepe the Frog as a communist, or as Hillary Clinton, Bernie the Sanders was made over in the same image. Then there's Poo Poo Pepe, which certainly the people at NBC and ABC and all these idiot outlets should probably look up because it'll help them to fact check their own stories. The fact that Pepe the Frog was photoshopped crudely onto the little deplorables picture that Donald Trump Jr. shared, or was it the other Trump son? I can't remember. I always get him mixed up. It's a problem. He's got so many fucking kids. But apparently they and Roger Stone also shared the image, and now this is somehow being tied in with the alt-right, which they also take to mean white nationalists. Now, the alt-right and white nationalism are not the same thing either. This is a cartoon frog. It can be literally used by anyone for any purpose. I mean, the stupidity here, the lack of fact-checking from the media here is astounding. It's astounding that any sane, competent editor wouldn't have simply Googled the term, looked through fucking Google Images, seen that 99% of the images there are Pepe shitting on something, or simply sad frog meme or something like that, and lo and behold, it's the evil Nazis again. I will say this, on 4chan, Pepe does tend to be associated with Trump, not necessarily white nationalism, as the SPLC or apparently the mainstream media predict, are associated directly with Trump at this point, but certainly with the Trump campaign. But then again, there are also people on 4chan that are hardcore leftists that use Pepe the Frog. There are people on 4chan that are literal Marxists, self-proclaimed, that use Pepe the Frog. There are people who are Hillary fans, certainly, that make her over in the frog image, and then have Wojak, the sort of feels dude, as Trump, or is sort of inverting the same thing that Trump is doing here with the deplorables thing. The lack of fact-checking is astounding. I mean, it's total, utter retardation. If ever you needed to a reason to say that this political race has become more and more unhinged, that our entire political discourse has gone so utterly off the rails it's now beyond recall, all you have to do is simply observe the fact that the mainstream media is now currently holding a debate over whether a cartoon frog has ties to Adolf Hitler. That's all you need to understand to realize these people are so fucking out of whack. They have no idea what's going on. These like $1 million a year salaried editors at large at some of these organizations are no longer, clearly, they're no longer fact-checking their own stories. This shows us why, I think this is a microcosm of why the lamestream media is dying. Look at what they're trying to say. The old, outdated legacy media about a goddamn cartoon frog being somehow an emblem of neo-Nazi mentality, or the SPLC, or any of these other old-style groups that have grown so woefully outdated. Look at what they're saying about this, and contrast it with what more of the tech-literate individuals and sites and outlets are saying. You've got Daily Dot, or whatever I think it was, saying, no, Pepe the Frog's not a Nazi, and so forth. And that's the truth. Anybody who's actually using the internet, who comprehends the basics of how to Google something, how to use a Firefox or Chrome or some other entry-level browser, fucking search engine, or anything else under the sun, anybody who can turn a computer on, anybody who can type in a web address, anybody who knows what antivirus is and isn't someone who uses PC-Matic and screams at their great-grandson to turn the fucking internet back on or something. Anybody else knows, no, Pepe the Frog is not a white nationalist thing. It started off as sort of sad frog, happy frog stuff. Wojak gets included. Pepe sort of becomes an antagonistic figure and starts, like, raping Wojak or baking him shit cookies, and then he goes completely ape shit. He becomes Poo Poo Pepe, and that's my favorite Pepe, honestly, because he's like decapitating girls and then shitting all over them and ranting about tendies and stuff. It's all very funny. It's right down my alley. It's like Dolan. Dolan I thought was hilarious. Some people absolutely hated it. I thought the fact that it was poorly drawn made it even funnier. Like, helicopter dick and Boggs pussy sort of cartoon. If you want to look that up, I'll leave that to you to look up. Just look up the Fuck Yeah Dolan Tumblr page. I know, I don't use Tumblr, I don't like Tumblr, but that's the one page there that's worth visiting, really. The Fuck Yeah Dolan thing. But, yeah, the media is now openly declaring that a cartoon frog is evidence of neo-Nazis. Can you say witch hunt? Can you say these people are so screwed up mentally they're no longer even bothering to fact check things? The fact is, it probably some idiot Hillary fan on one of their teams said, "Oh, well, that's the Nazi frog," and they just ran with it without fact checking it. They just took their word for like solid gold or something. It's probably what happened here. Any sane individual who's actually using the internet and using more than just Facebook and YouTube. They use 4chan, maybe they use Reddit or something. They use some site that's just a little bit edgier than the very, very crust surface of the internet. They're going to know that this is not actually the case. All you got to look up is Pepe the Frog and then filter through images right on Google, and you'll see that most of these are just humorous situations. It's just a fucking meme. The fact that it happens to be associated with Kek worship in a fringe on 4chan doesn't have anything to do with neo-Nazis. It has to do with people who are using occultism to try to affect the U.S. election. Not all these people are far-right or alt-right or whatever you'd like to term them. Some of these people are like disenfranchised Democrats that are like, well, Clinton's too corrupt for me. What, so they're Nazis too? Okay, not only is most of the U.S. population deplorable, we're all a bunch of Nazis now too. Hitler really did win the war, didn't he? Somehow, magically, despite dying in the Third Reich, getting burned up, Dresden, Munich, other places, with firebombing, getting totally fucked up by Soviets. Somehow, these Nazis, they must really have been superhuman. Somehow they won the war. There are like 100 million Nazis in the U.S. alone. What does that say about the world? They're selling Hitler ice cream in India. They have a Hitler clothing store. And they have Hitler anime over in Japan. Oh no, Hitler won. That's what you would think. This is worse than pearl clutching. We have to invent a new term just for something that's pearl clutching on steroids. It's so unhinged, it no longer even carries the rudiments of common sense. It no longer even pretends to be sensible. It's funny, but at the same time, my God, these people are just so fucking retarded. So stupid. Just think, these people are like legally able to vote. Some of these like network executives and people who will like gobble this up, take it seriously. These people vote. That's slightly concerning to me. If you actually take this seriously, my God, it's not good investigative journalism on behalf of the media. And anybody who's just vaguely, randomly trusting what the media says and not fact-checking it themselves. At this point, every American, if you're going to use a mainstream media outlet, you better damn well make sure to fact-check them. You do it yourself. Do a little bit of side research on something. You probably only have one or two issues that you care about. Certainly, it's worth 10 minutes out of your day to do a little bit of side research from somewhere else to determine whether they're telling the truth or not. Because I've noticed that 9 times out of 10 in this election cycle, and trust me, to a slightly lesser extent for many, many years, since, well before 9/11, they're not telling the truth at all. It's just lie after lie. And there's so much spin, there's so much bias, it's so pumped full of propaganda, it doesn't even resemble news anymore. It's like you'd take a steak and you'd seal it in wax and mix it with polymers and binders and add a bunch of chicken fat to it and then try to market it as steak. Well, it no longer even resembles a steak. At what discrete point does it stop being a steak? At what discrete point does news stop being news altogether? It's not just, oh, well, it's news, but it's also got some opinion and maybe some bias in our analysis and stuff. Some of it's spin, some advertising. That's fine, that's news. At what point, though, is that so prevalent that it's no longer even news? Does this even qualify anymore, technically, as a media? I don't think so. I think that some of these groups, CNN, MSNBC, Fox as well, honestly, especially in the last year, they've gone downhill so far, they're so out of touch with reality, that I hazard to even call them a media at this point. I don't think they're a press anymore. I don't think they should anymore get specific protection under freedom of the press. Free speech, yeah, but say what you actually are, which is your propaganda agencies. Yeah, it's no different than the Inquirer, or the Star, or Weekly World News. That's what our news has devolved into. You read the Weekly World News, find out where the latest Chupacabra attack is. You're probably getting more truth from that than you're getting from CNN or Fox at this point. And NBC and ABC, they're so way out there. It's almost like reading some, limited manuscript run from some cult dwelling out in the desert somewhere, ranting about aliens coming and taking them away. Like Voice of Astara or something like that. Joel of Arcadia. Read some of their materials. It's like, it's just as sensible at this point as what I'm seeing here on fucking Pepe the Frog. It's a goddamn cartoon, and you've got the Southern Poverty Law Center rambling about how it's a Nazi emblem. I mean, these people are so lost and dazed and confused. For so long, it's not true. But, yeah, they're, totally out of it. They're off their rocker if they're taking this seriously. That's about all. Peace out.